Good evening. This is Wallace Gator Bradley, and I'm the host of the Bradley Report. I'm also the president of United in Peace, Inc. This show was brought together and produced by none other than the chairman of United in Peace, Inc., my wife, Terry Marsh Bradley. We got a very important show on emphasis about the importance of unity with the Democratic Party going into this November 8th, 2022 election. Okay? We got to understand that the big picture is greater than the big lie that the Trumptonians are speaking about. Okay? And one of the things that's key, why this is so profound, because there's black Trumptonians that's putting it into the air that J.B. Pritzker is the Trump of the Illinois Democratic Party because of what happened with the change of leadership from a black woman to a Hispanic woman over the state party after all the work that Congresswoman Robin Kelly put into the race. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to let you hear for yourself, let you judge for yourself. And even she says, regardless how great the work that she's done, she understands that we got to move forward and let no one come in and convince the African-American community like Bailey would be a better governor than J.B. Pritzker, or that the other guy would be a better Secretary of State than Alexis Janulius, or that electing by not voting for the Democratic candidates for the Supreme Court would be better for Illinois. So without further ado, Brother Omari is the guy that's going to be doing my technical thing. Yeah, come down, son. Brother Omari, bring it. I want to go to the, go to the screen, yeah. The thing that's key, yeah, it was a party leadership shift. Okay, that's how I go during the Democratic primaries or the Republican primary. Okay, and Robin Kelly, when she became the leader of the go to the first one, not this one right here. I'm gonna bring that up later. Go to, let me see. Let's see, understanding the wisdom and the coming. Come down. Let me see some pictures with that. After you do this right here. Yeah, hit that. Should be the story should be when you come down, because that's Tribune. They got a should be a link that you hit, and well, anyway, Illinois Democratic Party chair fights turns ugly with accusations of racism. Come down, son, Brother Marty. Wait right there. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker push to unseat the state Democratic Party chair is growing miserable or more meaner by the day. An Illinois abortion rights group joined the fray ahead of Saturday's vote by opposing Representative Robin Kelly, the first black woman to chair the state party, in her bid for a full 4-year term that in turn prompted a Cook County official to lob racial accusations before the withdrawal as a co-sponsor of a fundraiser that was hosted by the group. This is what the Commissioner Donna Miller said in her statement. As a black woman, I'm mindful of the dog whistles used to raise legal questions about the first African American and the first woman to lead the Democratic Party of Illinois. Cook County Commissioner Donna Moore said in a statement Wednesday, the party has flourished under Kelly's leadership. Bring it up a little bit, Maury. No, yeah, right there. Miller's remarks came after the Congressional Black Caucus PAC entered the debate in support of Kelly, while the Illinois FL-CIO announced in its backing the Pritzker supported Latino candidate, State Representative Lisa Hernandez. Go up a little bit more, Amari. Right there, right there. And in an awkward exchange Tuesday at a joint news conference with the Democratic National Committee, at which Pritzker and Kelly at times stood side by side, a reporter asked Pritzker how he could say Democrats were united if he was trying to boot Kelly from her post. Then later, Wednesday, Representative Bobby Rush, who also is black, asserted his concerns with Kelly as chair. I have a great deal of love and respect for Congresswoman Kelly, but this experiment of having a chair who can't fundraise just didn't work, he said in a statement. Kelly's team, however, contends its fundraising has been on par with the previous chair, who was Madigan. Now, they didn't say nothing with Madigan. The white man was the chair. And the 34 statewide committee people never met the state chair until Robin Kelly became that. Now go down some. I think I got some pictures on there. No, bring it down. Bring it down some more. I think I got some pictures up there.
That's as far down as it will go.
Okay. Then let's move on to the next one. No, not that one. Let's go with this. These are the guys that are the black Trumptonians that's trying to convince the people that Bailey will be better than J.B. Pritzker. They're the same group. I want you to hear me. We never thought that Ronna would beat Quinn. But he did. Because of these guys right here. Look at them, you know them. Paul, Mark, and other good brother in blue. Don't get faked out because they got on the blue suit. You hear what I'm telling you? There's another picture I got up there. There you see them, those the statewide candidates that they pushing into the black community to discombobulate the black community. And we know how Trump became president because everybody thought that Hillary Clinton would win, and they lost the fact that only the Electoral College could elect the president. So we ended up with Trump. So this game been played over and over and over and over and over again. So don't let them try to convince you, Illinois voters, that that man is better than J.B. Pritzker. I want you to hear Robin Kelly's speech. Hit it right there.
The first things I did was get in my car and drive south for a listening.
Back it up a little bit. Back it up a little bit.
All over the state before
Brother Martin.
going to
Right to the beginning. Bam. Okay.
When I was elected to this position last year, one of the first things I did was get in my car and drive south for a listening tour. I've been all over the state before, having gone to college in Peoria, served in Springfield, and have lived in the south suburbs for many years. So I knew Illinois pretty well. But on that listening tour, I got the opportunity to visit new towns and see new places I'd never been to before. I heard a lot of things that first listening tour, but the thing that stuck out the most to me was how many people came up to me and said things to the effect of, I've never seen anyone from the state party here before, let alone the chair. People were so excited just to feel like their party saw them, heard them, and cared enough to show up for them. When this body elected me, I promised to make the Democratic Party of Illinois more active, more inclusive, and more transparent in everything we did. I know that we have made dramatic progress toward that vision, and we have done it in a very short time, before even going through a single general election. We have overhauled our party from top to bottom with a focus on building foundational support for all Democrats, Democratic campaigns, and Democratic organizations. We have brought brand new staff and vendors, modernized and streamlined our operations, and brought the DPI into the 21st century. I want to pause for a moment and recognize the DPI staff led by Abby Witt, many of whom left other jobs to join this effort, for their amazing work supporting me and the party. And I know there are a few in the room, if we could just give them a round of applause. They have done a heroic job, and I hope they will continue to serve us for many years to come. We now have organizers working across the state, supporting Democratic organizations big and small. When Donald Trump came to Illinois in June, our team worked with Committeewoman Daniels and the Adams County Democrats to hold a counter-protest, attracting more than 80 people to a rally in one of the reddest counties in the state. Now, when you attend a county Democratic meeting or event, there's a good chance a representative from the state party is there. We've updated our data and technology services that we provide to all campaigns. I am not a super techie person, as my staff can attest, but I've heard from so many campaign staffers who are thrilled with the responsiveness of the DPI in the past year. This is a core responsibility of state parties, and we are treating it with the attention it deserves. And we finally reclaimed our position as the standard bearer of the Democratic message. We've engaged with the press, supported campaigns with their communication needs, and provided daily talking points to campaigns and held Republicans accountable in a meaningful way. Plus, we actually have a social media presence and a huge email list to get out our message. We went from 0 emails to over 100,000. 2 of the things built almost completely from scratch. The DPI, under my leadership, also took its seat back at the national table. We're supporting the bid for a 2024 early primary slot, expected to be announced next week, and the bid for the 2024 DNC convention in Chicago. I'll give you one example of just how disconnected the DPI was from the rest of the national party. Last fall, I went to the meeting of the Association of State Democratic Committees. At the beginning of the meeting, chairs stood up and introduced themselves to the group. When I stood up and said I was Robin Kelly from Illinois, the group paused and gave me a standing ovation. And to be clear, it wasn't because they all loved me, they didn't even know me. It was because they hadn't seen anyone from Illinois at one of those meetings in a very long time, decades. And we are doing the work to provide direct support to Democratic candidates. Our coordinated campaign, Organize Illinois 2022, is up and running. We ran a voter protection hotline for the primary election, and we provided tools like a polling place lookup for all campaigns to use. There is more work to be done, work that can and should focus on the general election, but the party is well positioned to directly support Democrats as we keep Illinois blue this November. This past week has been a challenging one. Honestly, this past 16 months has been challenging in many ways. I know my vision for a new kind of DPI was shared by so many, and obviously I'm disappointed that I wasn't able to continue building the party we need in this state, especially when I had such little time to do the work. But now it's time to look forward. I know the DPI staff will ensure party operations continue smoothly. At this critical time, we cannot afford any lapse in our party's ability to support candidates for the November election. I've said this over and over and over again, and I'll say it one more time. The work ahead for the party is clear: to build a foundation for success for every candidate at every level across Illinois. For the sake of our party, our people, and our values, I hope this body can continue toward that goal. Thanks.
You know, she let it be known that the historical significance of what she has done as an African American woman who happened to be a congressman and who happened to be the leader of the state Democratic Party and brought forth change to make the state Democratic Party known not just in Illinois to the other state committeemen by making them inclusive, but also to the national party. When Madigan was in charge of it, the Illinois party wasn't even in touch with the national association of other Democratic state party leadership. What she has done was have blazed a trail for whomever follow her. Gonna have to do exactly what she has done to make it appear or to continue to make it better. We as Illinois voters cannot take this for granted by blaming what JB did. He couldn't do it without African Americans, supporters that were committee people, state committee people. He couldn't have did it without those individuals that wanted to. That's where the racist question came up. She done so much for everyone to make it inclusive. Black, white, Latina, you name it. She did so much to include them. But like she said, we got to move on and see the big picture on why she did what she did in order to make sure that Illinois stay blue. So we can't let those black Trumptonians when Bailey says he's against women's rights to have say-so over their body. I've seen the commercials where he's so extreme, where he pretty much said, and I'm paraphrasing, if the person is raped, would he say she had a right to have an abortion? And he said no. We saw what happened with the little 10-year-old. I believe it was in Ohio. They got raped. And she had to come to Indiana to get an abortion because of the extreme attitude of the Trumptonians, including Bailey, including these blacks. They're supporting him. So what are they saying? If their sister or their daughter or their wife get raped, they should have that baby? This is their attitude. So don't let them try to misconstrue what happened within the party leadership. And you can't get mad at Chewy. Chewy is about his people, his culture. It was understandable that he would support the first Latina and the woman to have their chance to be over the state party. But we got to stay focused. We got to re-elect J.B. Pritzker governor of the state of Illinois, Alessi Janulius, Secretary of State, and while we on it, let's elect Jonathan Jackson, who won the Democratic primary, to become the next congressman of the 1st Congressional District. With that, I want to conclude with this. Vote, don't choke. Don't get McFooled by them black Trumptonians pushing this man Bailey. And the truth of the matter is this. Politics has always been the white man's game and will always be the white man's game. From the inception of white men coming from England to America, and to make sure that they wouldn't have another King George, they created a political system. The system didn't get discombobulated until Trump became the perceived King George and tried to create a coup that was so deep. If you've been watching the January 6th committee hearings, you see what I'm talking about. I want to get to this next story before I get out of here. Laura Washington, Bobby Rush says Jesse Jackson Jr. and wife deserve a presidential pardon for forgiveness. Could you take that up a little bit, Brother Marty? Hit that right there. Thank you.
Winter better not be throwing shade on my summer. I got a lot of lakefront bike rides and street.
Well, that's a good commercial that we have for you. They won't take that long, just 5-6 seconds.
Raspberry is back, and the medium is just $1.69. Or a Minute Maid slushie, like tasty strawberry watermelon or new tropical mango, is just $2 for a medium. It's more than a drink. It's a McDonald's drink. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Price and participation may vary. Limited time only. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Fanta and Minute Maid are registered trademarks of the Coca-Cola Company.
Laura Washington. Bobby Rush says Jesse Jackson Jr. and wife deserve a presidential pardon and our forgiveness.
You got to put it on the.
Former U.S.
Okay.
Representative Jesse Jackson Jr. waves to reporters as he leaves a halfway house in Baltimore on June 22, 2015. He's been living at the halfway house since his release from a federal prison in Alabama in March. He was convicted in 2013 of misuse of campaign funds. Jose Luis Magana, AP. U.S. Representative Bobby Rush has written to President Joe Biden to request redemption. He is asking for an unconditional pardon for former U.S. Representative Jesse Jackson Jr. and his wife, Sandy Jackson, a former Chicago alderman. Rush wrote, "Though their crimes were serious, I firmly believe that Jesse and Sandy have not only shown remorse, but have atoned for them as well." In his July 19th letter, he notes, "As legislators with a long history of public service, Jesse and Sandy, like all of us, were not without flaws. Both, however, took responsibility for their actions." Jackson Jr. served Illinois' 2nd Congressional District from 1995 until November 2012, when he resigned in disgrace. Sandy Jackson represented Chicago's 7th Ward from 2007 to 2013. Both pleaded guilty and served prison time, Jesse for wire and mail fraud, having been accused of spending $750,000 in campaign funds. Sandy for filing false income tax returns. Lobbying the White House on the Jacksons' behalf may be Rush's last major act on the congressional stage. He is retiring after 15 terms representing Illinois' 1st Congressional District, which spans parts of Chicago's South Side and South Suburbs. Both have served their sentences and paid full restitution for their crimes, Rush wrote. Since their release, Jesse and Sandy have led their life as law-abiding citizens, focusing on the growth and well-being of their 2 children. Rush does not take their crimes lightly, and their fall was a disappointment, he told me when we met recently at a coffee house in Bronzeville. "We all want to have the opportunity to find redemption. We all have to be redeemed from something," said Rush, an ordained minister and a former Black Panther radical and Chicago alderman. "I am looking at what they have done in the past and also what is the potential for the future. The past and the potential are embedded in the Jackson family saga." The Reverend Jesse Jackson is the founder of Rainbow Push, an international civil rights activist, a roving international diplomat, and a 2-time presidential candidate. Jesse, his eldest son, inherited his father's name, charm, charisma, and connections. In 1995, those attributes propelled him to become a congressman. Jackson was once a major player in local and national politics. He hammered at economic development and jobs as his #1 priority in the majority Black district. He loudly touted the hundreds of millions in federal dollars he brought home and spearheaded a fierce pursuit of a regional airport in the south suburbs. Jackson adopted high-tech campaign strategies long before many of his peers. He has penned books on constitutional law and public policy. When Jackson wasn't talking, people were talking about him. They talked about him running for Chicago mayor. They talked up a run for the U.S. Senate, or that he could become the nation's first Black U.S. House Speaker. In 1997, Newsweek magazine named Jackson, then only 32, one of 100 people to watch in the 21st century. Jackson has inherited his father's oratorical gifts and is beginning to acquire his political base. He's a hit in Congress. Will he be the first Black president? Newsweek wrote, "Through abundant hubris and ambition, he fell." Back in 2012, I wrote that Jackson was like Icarus, the mythological Greek hero who mounted a magnificent pair of wings of feathers and wax. His father, Daedalus, warned him, "Go forth and fly, but stay away from the sun, or your wings will melt away." Icarus, full of pride, ignored his father's counsel and fell to his death. The Jacksons spent campaign money on sports memorabilia, fur capes and parkas, and other pricey items. The sentencing judge berated Jackson for using his campaign funds as a personal piggy bank. There were other unsavory and sad episodes, including marital infidelity and Jackson Jr.'s struggles with gastric bypass surgery and a bipolar disorder. That was then, Rush said. Now, the Jacksons are desperately needed, particularly in the African American communities they once represented. This young man, he has so much to offer in terms of finding solutions to the enormous quandaries and problems and questions that we are facing as a community first of all, and as a nation, Rush said. He added, I shudder to think that the talent, the skill, training that Jesse Jackson Jr. has would somehow be trapped on the sidelines of our future. Rush is asking his fellow members of the Congressional Black Caucus and other colleagues to sign a letter of support. The Jacksons did not ask Rush to make the pardon request, he said. Rush has a singular and complicated relationship with the Jacksons. He has known the family since Jackson Jr. was a toddler, crawling on the floor, he told me. The Jackson children call him Uncle Bobby. Rush served with Jackson Jr. and watched him debate on the House floor. In June, Jess's younger brother, Jonathan Jackson, won the Democratic nomination for a crowded race to replace Rush in the 1st District. Rush had backed a different candidate. Rush knows the seamy side of the Jacksons' ambition. In 2008, he was diagnosed with cancer of the salivary gland. There was a time in my life when I was at the point of death, really, he recalled. There was a rumor about Sandy making a move to replace me. Rush thanks God that he recovered. Now, people will ask, how can you ask for a pardon for them when they were stepping over your dead body? Forgiveness, he said, is an antidote to the violence and pain in his community. The inability to forgive keeps our community at a severe disadvantage, he argued. I hope that what I am doing will inspire a greater spirit of forgiveness in our community and, therefore, that we can harness our energy to work for the betterment of all. Forgiveness heals. The Jacksons flew too close to the sun. The sun also rises. Laura Washington is a political commentator and longtime Chicago journalist. Her columns appear in the Tribune each Monday. Write to her at lauralawwashington@gmail.com. Submit a letter of no more than 400 words to the editor here or email letters@chicagotribune.com.
You know, that's profound what she has said. That's wonderful what Bobby Rush is doing. I pray to God that Biden grant that pardon. I've been knowing the Jacksons for a long time too. It was Jesse Jackson, his daddy, his father, that allowed me to be a part of the delegation to go to the White House and meet President Clinton in the Oval Office the day before he gave his State of the Union address to try to convince him not to support that 1994 crime bill to show the Republican Party that he was more hard on crime than they were. But we're moving forward. It's 2022. Again, I say, make sure you elect J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, Alexei Janulius, the Secretary of State of Illinois, and by all means, please elect Jonathan Jackson, the next congressman for the 1st Congressional District. And one of the things Jonathan always says, we got about 99 days. There's only one congressman, and that's Congressman Bobby Rush for the 1st Congressional District. It's not 2 congressmen. November 8th is when you, 1st Congressional District people, elect the next congressman for Illinois, representing Illinois for the 1st Congressional District, Jonathan Jackson. To God be the glory. This is the conclusion of my story. Vote, don't choke. November 8th, 2022. Keep Illinois blue. And I thank you.